Hi, did you enjoy the ads? I sure hope you did. I probably wouldn't have. But welcome back. Okay, we're going to talk about time travel since we kind of brought that up a while ago. That was not the original scheduled content, but you get what you get and be happy.
We just kind of vibe. We
Yeah.
vibe it. We say it. We think it. We do it.
So, China outlawed time travel. Shout out Jumpers Jumps podcast because I learned that from them. And what I'm about to say, I did learn from them. So, yeah. What do you think about that? That they banned it?
I'm just trying to. Is there like a person over there that they believe has traveled through time, or is that just something they're like? The whole government's like, let's not study that. Let's not talk about that. That's fictional. Like, I don't understand how you can outlaw
I don't know,
something like time travel.
but it kind of freaks me out.
It's a little weird because to me it's saying that maybe y'all had somebody do that. There's a reason that you're outlawing the whole thing. Also, do you personally believe in time travel? At this current moment, do you believe that people have traveled time?
Okay, if you would have asked me like a week or two ago, I would have said probably no. But then, okay, shout out again, Jumpers Jump podcast. If you don't watch them and you like conspiracies, you're missing out. You're sleeping on a great podcast. I'm not paid to say that. I genuinely enjoy their content. I also like Xavier's content. If you don't know who he is, you're also sleeping on somebody who's really, really good at talking. I seen a theory that perhaps people don't necessarily use a machine to time travel, but they like go into a deep meditative state and can travel through the dimensions forward necessarily, not necessarily like through a wormhole or anything, but that you can just in your mind. But I don't know. I don't. That's as close as I can get to believing time
So
travel.
it's like the dream stuff. Some people, what do they call astral project?
Oh, I believe in that stuff.
So I'm wondering maybe if that's what people are trying to say. Me personally, I just don't think we're at the technology to be up in here like Rick and Morty. Like,
I mean, I think
we're quite there.
I think that people can definitely go into other dimensions. I just don't think you can come back, which is probably the scary part.
Once you're there kind of thing. I mean, there's all sorts of, the things that I find intriguing is the photos of people, and I can't, sometimes it's like, I don't know if it's real, if it's fake, if it's whatever, right? But I will say there are pictures of people that you can look, it'll be like the 1920s, but that person is wearing an outfit from the 90s. It's like,
or they have a cell phone.
Yeah, or they just look out of place or out of something ain't right. And yeah, you can doctor pictures, but I've seen and heard like a lot of things of like people being at places, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I personally, again, I don't think there's like a machine. I also don't know how these people are getting to where they're getting. I don't know.
I don't either, and it kind of freaks me out sometimes. Like, some of that really freaks me out, and then, like, I feel like when you start thinking about, like, oh, God, are there other dimensions, too? It starts to get even heavier, and it's like, what's real, what's not real, and then you start really digging into religion and spiritualism and all of that stuff, and you will truly fuck your head up. Do some past life regression therapy like I did, and you'll never be okay again. But I highly recommend it. Just be careful.
One thing, too, also that will get me is like the pictures that people will bring up. They'll be like, look at this person from the past. They look exactly like this celebrity at the current moment. And I'm like, y'all do realize they could be related. They could not be time travel at all, bro. You could just be pulling up a photo of somebody's great grandparents. Like, so something like that I think can be debunked, but the stuff about the dimensions and stuff, that always interests me because I think there's so much we don't know as like human beings. There's so much going on beyond us, like being here. So why wouldn't there be other dimensions and stuff, you know?
I feel like, for me, I think that there has to be, like, I'm really big into astrology and all of that stuff. So, like, I do, like, all of my friends' birth charts. Some of them know that I did their birth chart. Some of them don't know I did their birth chart. But I guess that's kind of like maybe a little narcissistic of me to do so. But you know what? I like to understand people because I have a hard time picking up on social cues. So if somebody, I like to kind of get in their brain a little bit without having to actually talk to them to get into their brain. I like to try to understand them better. And recently I've been doing a lot more people's charts, and it's kind of just getting to where I'm looking at people completely differently, and I'm like, this is really weird how stuff just kind of adds up and is however it is. Like, it's, I don't want to say shit is fate and destined to be or like written in the stars, but I mean it's literally written in the fucking stars. So I don't really know how to not say that.
um, on the other hand, with astrology, it's like I believe some things can line up, but some things can purely just be coincidence. Because if you look up my personal sign, a Cancer, it'll say, well, I'm this, and I'm this positive, but then I'm this negative thing, I'm this thing, I'm that.
Well, it also goes into what is your moon and your ascending sign and like what are your house placements. That's why I like doing full birth charts, not just like, I don't like just the horoscopes. I think they're very generic and kind of almost like you feed into people's fears, insecurities, or their ego one. I feel like when you really look at birth charts and you just keep in mind like where the stars and planets are, I think that's far more accurate than somebody on the internet who is really good at psychology and pseudopsychology, you know? Because at the end of the day, a lot of horoscopes are just generically written to kind of apply to anybody reading it. And if you look, sometimes like it could be a Libra and a Scorpio and they'll have like the same exact horoscope, and that makes no sense. I recently did a birth chart, and it's the first time in a very, very long time I've done a birth chart and gotten almost like a little scared of the person. Like, it tripped me out because very rarely do you see certain things in astrology or in birth charts that are really, really rare phenomenons that are like, you hear about them or you'll see it happen with somebody like you know or that you see on the internet, but you don't see those things like in real life. And then when you do see it in real life, especially if it's in your personal life, you kind of get intimidated by that person because all of a sudden you know that they hold these important key moments in your life. So there's a little more pressure to keep that person in your life no matter what, really, because you know those key things are supposed to happen. And like it's always even more worse like when somebody doesn't know anything about astrology and then I understand their chart and I do all the stuff, and it's kind of like I don't want to tell them certain things because I don't know, I feel like I kind of interfere sometimes with fate by finding things out like that.
Right, I can see that. I think, though, I will say, and I have to make this perfectly clear, if whoever is listening at this current moment, if you, I will say, this is one thing where it gets a little dangerous. If you're in a situation to where you're, like, with someone and it's not healthy, it's not going right, you know, find a way out type of stuff.
Yeah.
I understand, like, what you're saying. I'm not saying that's what you're implying.
No, I'll explain that. Do you want me to just...
But, yeah.
Okay, when I say it makes me afraid of that person, I'm saying that, okay, I'm a person who does not like to be incredibly close to people. Even the people closest to me, I try to keep at a certain distance. For the most part. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to that where they know me really well and it's hard to keep stuff from them. But I'm not going to name names, and they're probably listening and they're going to figure it out because they're not stupid and they're good at context clues and they know when I'm rambling that means I'm getting a little bit of anxiety about saying something. But that being said, um, it makes me scared because when I trust people and they fuck me over or something, that hurts more than if I kind of like keep them at a distance from the beginning. But then when I did the birth chart comparisons and put it through like friendship, business relations, sex, all that compatibility, because good luck finding one that doesn't have to do it all. Like I didn't want to find out like the relationship, like romantic or sexual or anything like that. Just kind of more of the business friendship aspect, but it includes all of it. So when I started seeing certain things in the charts, it made me incredibly apprehensive almost of this person. It hasn't affected our friendship or relationship or anything like that, but in the back of my mind, I get very panicked that I'm going to say or do something and then they're not gonna then those things will not happen. Even though I understand if it's fate and it's literally written to happen, like it's gonna happen, but there's I guess that insecurity in me that's always like it's always my fault type thing, even if it's not. So now that I know these things and I understand how important of a role this person is going to play in my life in the future and the way they talk and the way they understand certain things that I say that most people would not understand, or they would definitely be like, "Okay, well, you're just fucked in the head, man. Like I don't even get that." They are not like that. I just about slipped up there. They are not like that. They are very, and they're almost like a polar opposite of me, which is not in a lot. Okay, in some ways, yes, and in a lot of ways, we are identical in thinking and like feelings about certain things. But then, like, I am very pessimistic. I'm very cynical. I look at things very realistically. They are very they are very positive and optimistic, and they're always like, when I come spiraling, they're like, "No, you're going to be fine. It's going to be good. You're okay." And for some reason, when they say that, I actually believe them, which terrifies me even more because why? I mean, I've never had a reason not to, but at the same time, I typically try to just not trust people all the way. So, like, I don't know, maybe me knowing is a good thing. So I'm prepared emotionally because I don't like surprises. But I also feel like it's now hindered how I communicate. Because maybe I would communicate more freely if I didn't know all of this shit.
You know too much.
I know too much. I always know too much, man. I always do that to myself. Like, I mean, when I read, like, one of my friends' charts, typically, like, I don't read too much into, like, the whole comparability. I rarely actually put somebody through a whole comparability. But our charts kind of, the way they went together is not how charts would normally look if they were laid on top of each other. Because typically you're going to see it, like, you're not going to have every single zodiac. Very rarely will you have every zodiac hit in some shape, form, or fashion connecting with other zodiacs and in parallel to equals of perfect aspects and ratios. That's very rare. And then when I seen that, I was like, oh, no. So I do the whole 9 yards, and I'm sitting there at the end of it reading it, and I'm like, oh, well, you really do meet everybody for a reason. And folks, we will see you in the next segment because we got 55 seconds. All right, we'll see you in the next segment. Enjoy the shitty ads. Oh, God.